Hey, let's talk about giving up on self-sufficiency. What am I talking about that, right? Hey, welcome to Goose Pond Hideout, and I'm Rob, and it is like crazy, super blue sky sunny here today. There is literally not a cloud in the sky, and there's not much breeze. So pretty unusual this time of the year. So we're sitting out here at our garden table, got my little fire going, even though I probably don't really need it today. And again, welcome to Goose Pond, and I'm Rob, and I want to chat with you today about giving up on self-sufficiency. Why is our society today, our modern world, so heck bent on people not being self-sufficient, right? I mean, I'm not talking about me, and I'm hopefully not talking about you, but I'm talking about the world in general. And the thing is, just 2-3 generations ago, people were self-sufficient, the Great Depression kind of thing. And, people knew how to grow their own food and hunt and fish and just, heat their houses themselves. And most people didn't have electricity 100 years ago, and all those kinds of things. And that's it. I like the modern world. I like being able to chat with you like this. I'm not saying that that's bad. And, I'm certainly not talking about, when I talk about being self-sufficient, I'm not talking about being like an isolationist, somebody that, you head off into the wilderness, never to be seen or heard from again, and living on your own, like a primitive caveman kind of thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I like electricity. We have electricity here at our homestead, but yet I'm working toward being able to provide our own electricity in the event that we need it. We go to the grocery store and we buy hamburger and other things. We buy food. We buy a gallon of milk or half a gallon of milk every once in a while. We just bought some ice cream the other day. Had a little treat there, some ice cream. But I want to be able to provide our own food, if it's necessary, kind of thing. I want the feeling that I can take care of myself and my family, and that I don't have to be dependent. And that's the thing. Our modern world here it's all about being more efficient and, specializing, being really good at one thing. You do your thing and somebody else does their thing. And unfortunately then, it's all about, you pay into the system and all of that. And it's worked, sort of, but I think it's been a misgiving that, it hasn't really worked. Why do we have toilet paper shortages? Why are eggs not available and prices sky high? The supply chain thing is, we're all specialized and doing, one little thing really well. And that's great until the system collapses, and then all of a sudden, nobody can do anything. And, what happens if and when the grid goes down? And in our world today, it certainly seems like things are a little bit unpredictable, if you will. All that's going on, all this tariff stuff, and I can't do anything about the tariffs. You can't do anything about the tariffs. We've just got to be able to adapt our world, our little hunk of reality, and be able to, take care of ourselves if we need to. And, I've been talking a little bit about the power grid thing with our power being out and that. And our power company here where we live doesn't create any of their own power. They have no power plants of any shape or form. They buy all the power that they then supply to all the users, if you will. And, what's going to happen if, with all this stuff between Canada and in the United States and Europe and Russia and all these, what happens if, is our power bill gonna double or triple or, worse? I mean, our homeowners insurance, I've mentioned, in earlier videos, but in the 11 years that we've lived here, our homeowners insurance has literally tripled. It is 3 times what it was 11 years ago. And our power bill, is fair and reasonable, but what happens if they've got to buy more expensive power? They're obviously just going to pass it on. The supply chain thing, the eggs. Now, of course, that didn't affect us because, we've got our own chickens and geese and guineas. We don't eat the guinea eggs, but, we could if we had to, right? And we've got a garden. I just bought a little greenhouse, so look forward to that coming up in the future here, but I've got to clear out we're going to put it where the garden is. But I cut a few trees down so that it would get more light. And so the trees are laying right through the garden. I've been sort of cutting them up, which will be our firewood for next year. So that's the circle of life, if you will, is I'm cutting down a few trees to provide more light to the garden area. So our new greenhouse will get plenty of light, and we'll use that wood. It won't go to waste. It'll be firewood to heat our homes. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I talk about being self-sufficient, is I still want to be part of the modern world. We still have neighbors. We still go to town. And, I like watching people. So it's fun to go hang out at Walmart and people watch and things. And while the wife shops, right? And, but, I'm not talking about being out in the wilderness isolationist. If that's your thing, more power to you. We enjoyed living on the sailboat, but we still visited marinas. And we had our own power, but we still would, connect to shore power. We'd like to take showers in real bathrooms and, things like that. So those are just, seek your own level. I'm not saying everybody needs to be on your own, like the wilderness thing, and your self-sufficiency may be, some potted tomatoes on the patio. It may be a small power station so you can charge your devices or run your refrigerator, for a day or something like that. And, everybody seeks your own level of what self-sufficient means to you, what off-grid might mean, what, gardening, hunting and fishing, whatever's your thing, because all of those skills have been completely lost. I mean, the young people today have no clue how to trap a rabbit, how to clean it and prepare it to eat so that you'll have something to eat, and I just think that those skills, it's kind of like reading cursive. I was making out Easter cards the other day, and I'm like trying to not write in cursive because that's just so natural for somebody, my age, because I'm like, the grandkids aren't going to be able to read what I'm writing if I don't, so I got to try to print, and then I run a few letters together, and then I start printing again. So, reading analog clocks, when you say 2:45, the kids today have no idea what you got to say 2:45 because they're all digital. And 10 to 4, that it's like kind of meaningless to them today. So let me know what you think about that, what your skill level is for self-sufficiency. If you think I'm off my rocker or if what I'm saying makes sense, because to me it's all about our freedom, right? Your freedom, everybody's freedom.